everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about aphasia. So what is aphasia? Aphasia is a disorder. Now, disorder of what, right? So disorder of, you can say, communication or expression of speech. Now when there is a disorder, there should be something that causing the disorder. Here in the case of aphasia, brain damage caused the disorder. Now what is the result of it? The result is impairment. So whenever there is a disorder, there have to be an impairment. Now in this case, the impairment of language comprehension, formulation and use of the language. Now let's see what are the types of aphasia. So there are mainly 4 types of aphasia: sensory aphasia, conduction aphasia, motor aphasia and global aphasia. Now here I kept 3 in circle plus 1. Now out of these 3, sensory, conduction and motor has their own area of damage. But in case of this global one, there is damage to multiple area, right? So I kept this 3 plus 1. But there are also other types of aphasia. I'm not getting into that because these 4 types of aphasia are the main ones. Before getting into the details of these 4 kinds of aphasia, first let's understand how the speech production works so that these types become easier. Now we will learn first how speech production works. Now what is speech? Speech is basically expression of thoughts and ideas through production of sounds. So there are mainly 3 parts here which basically works with the speech production, right? First is your Wernicke's area or area number 22 and which sits in temporal lobe. Then comes your Broca's area or area 44 which sits in frontal lobe. Now connecting these 2 areas are the arcuate fasciculus. Now here you can see this is the visual cortex and this is the auditory cortex. Visual cortex resides in the occipital lobe and auditory cortex resides in the temporal lobe. So from visual cortex and auditory cortex, raw data comes to Wernicke's area for processing. So this is basically the sensory area which processes the data. Now after processing, it sends the data to Broca's area via arcuate fasciculus. This Broca's area encodes the motor response and finally sends to motor cortex. Now from motor cortex, it is sent to the brainstem and ultimately the muscles of speech. So here you can see there are 4 figures and we will discuss the types of aphasia by seeing the diagrams, right? For the first diagram, as you can see, I have already mentioned the type of aphasia. But for the rest of 3, you will give me the answer. But before that, let's see the first one. So for the first one, here you can see the Wernicke's area is affected. Sensations are coming from the visual cortex and the auditory cortex, but Wernicke's area cannot process it because it is damaged. So nothing is passed through the Broca's area through arcuate fasciculus. So the patients cannot understand the word they are hearing. That is word deafness. They also could not understand the written words. That is called word blindness. Now, as the Broca's area is intact, the patient can speak, but the speech is meaningless. And here, in this case, as the patients talk excessively, the disorder is also called fluent aphasia. So this is our sensory aphasia. Now I think you don't need to mug up all the characteristics of it. As you can see in the diagram, what is the clinical feature of it. Now in the second diagram, I will give you the clinical scenario and you will tell me what is the ideal aphasia for it. Here the Wernicke's area is intact, the Broca's area is also intact, but the area of involvement is the arcuate fasciculus. Now you tell me what kind of aphasia it should be. Is it motor aphasia or is it conduction aphasia? Now Remember, these sort of aphasia are named on the structure involved, right? So here, in this case, the structure involved is the connecting arcuate fasciculus. So the aphasia here is called conduction aphasia. Now, you tell me what could happen with the patient. Here, from visual cortex and from the auditory cortex, sensation are coming to the Wernicke's area, and Wernicke's area are processing it. So that means patient can understand the meaning of written and hard language. But again, as the Broca's area is intact, patient can speak but will speak gibberish. But in recent researches, conduction aphasia is thought to be due to lesion in the auditory areas and not due to lesion in the arcuate fasciculus. Now, the third one. Here, the Wernicke's area is intact, the arcuate fasciculus is also intact, but the Broca's area is involved. And I already told you, aphasia is named on the affected structure. Now, we all know Broca's area is the motor area of speech. So now you tell me what kind of aphasia it should be. Yes, you guessed it correct. This is motor aphasia. Now, what do you think? What should be the characteristics for this motor aphasia? So in this case, patient will understand the written words or the language, but cannot express it completely. So in this case, patient is restricted to few words or no words. Now we are left with the fourth diagram, and as you can guess, the remaining type of aphasia will be the answer here. But still, let's see the scenario first. Here in this case, both the Wernicke's area and the Broca's area are affected. So this is called, as you guessed it correct, global aphasia. And in this case, patient can neither speak or understand the language. So here are four main types of aphasia, and I think these are now more easy to you. And if it's so, then please subscribe to my channel and also like the video. Now you remember at the first part of the video, I told aphasia results into impairment of language comprehension, formulation and use. Now here we will see how that comprehension, formulation and use works for different types of aphasia. So first is your sensory aphasia. So in sensory aphasia, as I already told, Wernicke's area is impaired. So the ability to understand or comprehension part is also impaired. And as you already told, the patient has word deafness and word blindness. Now as the patient cannot understand what he is being told, then how could he formulate those words, right? So the formulation is also impaired. And as the formulation is also impaired, but the Broca's area is intact, so the patient will speak gibberish but not meaningful words. So it is also impaired. Next comes your conduction aphasia, where the arcuate fasciculus is supposed to be impaired. Now the patient's ability to understand the hard word or languages is intact, so it is intact, but the formulation is not intact and the use also is not intact. Now the third is your motor aphasia. So here the ability to understand the comprehension is intact, yes, the formulation is also intact, but the use is not intact as the patient cannot speak. Lastly, we have the global aphasia, where both the Broca's and the Wernicke's area are affected. So here all of this is a no, right? So that's all for this aphasia. I hope I have made it clear for you. Now, thank you for watching. The video is informative. Please like the video and share among your friends. You can also join my social media handles. Link will be given in the description box. Hey, but before you go, there is one small request. If you are liking my video, you can also contribute towards my channel. Link will be provided in the description box. Thank you once again.